Welcome to the Geeks and Creeks podcast, where we bring you the latest and greatest in the world of sports. We couldn't be more thrilled to kick off this exciting journey with all of you. In this podcast, we'll dive into everything from game recaps to news and hot takes. Whether you're a diehard fan or just someone looking to stay in the loop, there's something here for everyone. So grab your favorite team's jersey, settle in with some snacks, and let's get ready for an adrenaline-packed ride through the world of sports. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Geeks and Greeks podcast. We loved having you here. I can't wait to get into this show. It's going to be a fun one. So let's go ahead and get going, and we'll start it off with Pete. How was that wrestling show this weekend? How did Tony Storm and Mariah May come out?
You know what? Honestly, it's already a candidate match of the year for me. Like, Mariah May versus Tony Storm. No holds barred, falls count anywhere. It was a masterpiece. At one point, they both go under the ring and at the same time pull out silver buckets full of broken glass, wrap their hands in tape, and then cover that tape in the broken glass and just start wailing on each other's face. It was amazing. Tony Storm ended up pinning Mariah May on the entrance ramp in just a pile of both of their blood. I mean, they both full crimson mask. Mariah May's in all white, so there's just blood all over her. Tony Storm's wearing stockings, so she has like handprints of blood on her legs and stuff. It was just pure masterpiece. It was an amazing match. Not to be topped by Raw and MSG that I was actually at the following night, which was really good too.
There we go.
Yeah, we went down to New York, and it was just a usual Raw. John Cena did not show up, which I got a serious problem with because this is supposed to be his last year of wrestling, and dude didn't show up to the Garden. It's so out of place for him. I don't know. I'm really frustrated. I know they're trying to sell the one that's in, is it Berlin or Belgium? I don't remember. The one, they have an overseas episode next week, so everyone's selling that. But it's it's Madison Square Garden, man. How do you not show up to that? But the Seth Rollins CM Punk cage fight was absolutely spectacular. And they beat the shit out of each other too. Not quite as good as Tony Storm and Mariah May, but it was up there. And I don't want to give too much away. It was a nice surprise ending at the end there, which was pretty dope. And yeah, had a great time.
And you know what? I mean, honestly, a match like that, I wouldn't expect to be as good as the Tony Storm Mariah May, because that's a pay-per-view match, and this is just a regular Monday Night Raw match. So it's if it was better, that's a bad thing.
I'll give you that.
It shouldn't be better than that. The pay-per-view match should hands down beat it. So
I'll agree with that.
So yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you got to go to a show at MSG though. That's pretty neat.
I know.
One of the perks of living in Philly is MSG isn't that far of a drive.
Yeah, and one of the perks of being old enough to afford trips like this is I just get to make trips like this whenever I want to.
Right. Did you just drive over to Jersey and take the train into the city?
No, I took the train to Jersey and then I took the train to the city. I did the train the whole way. Because I got a train station 5 blocks from my house. And
nice.
I mean, 4 hours later, I was getting off in New York City.
So. I wouldn't imagine wanting to try to drive through that madness.
No, not a chance. Especially not in my little piece of crap paperweight car, man. I drive a 2012 Chevy Sonic, man. It breaks down if I look at it wrong.
Well, you want to break down in the middle of New York City?
Yeah, no, I'm good on that.
All right, so I guess that'll move us along to the NBA Game of the Week.
All right, so this one I decided we were going to go back to 1998, Game 6 of the NBA Finals, Michael Jordan's final game as a Chicago Bull. And this was kind of fun to go back and watch because, I mean, again, I was a kid when this game happened. This was in 98, so I was 11 when this game happened. And I mean, I remember watching this game live. But I mean, there's obviously a lot that I don't remember and, couldn't fully comprehend being 11 when this happened. But like, it was fun to go back and watch it, though. I enjoyed watching it. And it really just showed the real difference between NBA today and the NBA back then. Like, It's so different.
Oh, I mean, for one, both of them scored less than 90 points.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that was surprising. I was expecting an over 100 game by both teams. And it's like when they were under 30 in the first quarter, it was just like, oh, it's going to be one of those games.
Right? It was weird to see, like... Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I think the commentator said it best when he called this was real hard-nosed basketball. And I was like, I haven't heard that expression since the 90s.
Yeah. Well, also too, like it didn't help that like the refs like stopped the game every 30 seconds for a foul too.
Yeah.
Like I mean, the refs were calling like almost everything every like minute and a half. I felt like we had some sort of a foul on Chicago too, for that matter. Like,
right.
I mean, Chicago was in foul trouble this entire game.
Yeah.
And,
I mean,
like,
but at the same time, the refs definitely gave them 5 points.
Yeah.
Because there was that one three-point shot by Isley that they called for a shot clock violation, which was very much not a shot clock violation. And then there was another 2-point shot by one of the guys on the Bulls that was a shot clock violation that they didn't call.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the referees may have been calling lots of penalties on the Bulls. Like, the points definitely swung the other way.
Yeah. I mean, this was a slow game. I mean, Pippen, it was Jordan. It was basically Jordan versus the Bulls because Pippen hurt his back in the first possession dunking the ball.
Right.
And he was done the rest of the game. Like, he tried, but couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And, I mean, in the finals, like, it was crazy. And at one point in the first period, the Jazz were down 9, and the announcing team just goes, man, they've got to really dig themselves out of this deep hole. I'm like... It's only 9 points, man. We're in the first quarter. What are you talking about? This hole isn't that deep, man. It's not like we're down 20. Like, it's only 9 points.
Yeah.
And it was so weird to see illegal defense being called. I'm like, man, I haven't seen illegal defense in so long. Like, wow. Like, it's just so weird because they took the illegal defense out. That was taken out back in 2001. So it's it hasn't even been a thing since 2001. It's been over 20 years since that's even been a penalty.
It's funny because the one coach kept shouting it.
Yeah.
And you could hear the mic pick it up every now and again, and the refs were talking about it. And I was like, what the hell is illegal defense? I've never even heard of this penalty.
Yeah, but then the announcing team broke it down. They broke it down on a replay of what illegal defense was.
Yep,
and it's like,
they
man,
sure did.
There you go. They even break it down to you in the finals. What is illegal defense?
Yeah.
And they showed it to you how it breaks it down and how you can't do it. And I'm like, man, I'm so glad they got rid of this.
Yeah.
Because now instead of illegal defense, they have defensive 3 seconds, or you can't just stand in the painted area for 3 seconds.
Right.
That's what replaced it, basically.
So, did you catch Bob Costa's dig at professional wrestling?
Yes. Yes, he did.
Just like Scottie Pippen decides he's going to have one of those fake fights over the WWF. He thought he'd bring the wrestling to the court a couple days early.
Well, it was Carmelo. It was Carmelo and Rodman.
Carmelo and Rodman, yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but there was a... Oh, go ahead, Adam. I think you're going to say it first.
Oh, well, it was a match in WCW, yeah.
Yeah.
Rodman versus Malone, and it was two other WCWs that was their tag team thing going on.
Yeah, so
But,
it was a tag team match with the NWO. I forget, it was Rodman and I forget who their tag partners were, but yeah, I remember it was a match, but I can't remember who the actual wrestlers were. Unfortunately, I don't remember.
It's funny because it's like since then the WWE has had so many celebrity matches that like that doesn't even stand out to me anymore. Like Dennis Rodman had a match, of course he did. Everybody had a match. Like if you paid attention to pro wrestling, like freaking the Miz got beat up by Bob Barker one time. Remember that? Why are we freaking out that Dennis Rodman has a match?
I mean, Jim Carrey got tombstoned by Kane.
Yeah, that's right. Jim Carrey got tombstoned by Kane.
So did Pete Rose. Kid Rock is in the WWE Hall of Fame, man.
Yeah. Hugh Jackman punched Dolph Ziggler in the face.
Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg took Santana or something like that. I forget his name now. Santino. That's what it is.
Snoop
and
Dogg
then he made out with his girlfriend.
He had a WrestleMania match recently too, didn't he?
Oh, Snoop Dogg
did the frog splash, I thought.
Yeah, it was when he was like hosting it or whatever, and they had like these like 3 back-to-back impromptu matches against the Miz, where it was like Shane McMahon came out and beat him, and then like someone else beat him, and then the third person was supposed to get in the ring and they couldn't go, so Snoop Dogg just stood in and did like a frog splash and pinned the Miz.
It wasn't a bad frog splash from what I remember. Like the frog splash actually was pretty good.
It was. I mean, comparison to like, I think he did an elbow drop the first time he did a move, and it just looked like he tripped off the top rope. Like it was much better than those days.
But yeah, like I mean, yeah, it's just it's funny how far we've come since 1998, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So I got
it's. No, I was gonna say the only comment I was gonna have is when they were talking about that when they were gonna have the wrestling match is when they were like tripping each other and kind of going back and forth at that point.
Yeah.
When they called that foul on Rodman, I'm like, dude, Malone elbowed him in the face in front of the ref and didn't get called for the foul. Instead, they called the foul on Rodman for tripping him after he got elbowed in the face.
Yeah.
And all they had to say about it was, oh, no, it should have been a flagrant foul. I'm like, no, it should have been a foul on Malone because he elbowed him in the face. Rodman shouldn't even have gotten a foul to begin with.
So I gotta say that this game is very bittersweet for me because after this game I stopped watching basketball for like a solid 4 or 5 years because I was a huge Bulls fan, and then in one foul swoop they eliminated like 70% of the team, including the coach, all left at once. It was like scatter.
Right.
And I was like, oh, my Bulls are gone.
Oh.
I think everyone left
the general manager
except
had come
for... everyone left except for Kukoc, Harper, and Wennington. So your best player that remained was like number 5 starter, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because before the season had even started, pretty much the general manager came out and said that even if they went 82-0, they weren't coming back. So everyone knew that the team was done after this season.
Yeah. Well, if you stuck around the video long enough when they were presenting the trophies and stuff like that, they asked the manager or the coach or whatever if he's coming back, and he's like, "That's a really good question. I'm gonna dodge it for now," and then just walked away.
Right. But yeah, Phil took a year or two off, then went to the Lakers. Jordan left and ended up going to the Wizards and then came back as a player for a little while. And Scotty, I think he went to the Trailblazers after this or went to the Rockets after this, one of the two.
Yeah, I was looking at his record. This was the last game that the last season that he really played. Like he had 2 seasons after this. But both of them were like under 20 games played.
Yeah, he had massive back problems. So, I mean, obviously we saw it in this game. Like his back was just done.
Yeah.
So
it was crazy. Pippen became a liability by the end of the game. I mean, he was like rolling out to like the top of the 3-point in the fourth quarter, and nobody was even guarding him.
Yeah.
And it's like you're just leaving a free man open to go play defense because he doesn't have to guard Pippen. I don't know why he's even in the game at that point. Like, just take him out.
They were hoping that even in his injured state, he would still draw defense towards him, but no one was buying it.
Yeah,
I mean, he was even in his state. He still was able to post up a few times and even score. So I mean, he still contributed a little bit, but I mean, you could tell. Like I said, especially by the fourth quarter, he was cooked.
Oh, yeah. He kept throwing it up and missing, and then Rodman would come up over the top and tip it in.
Which is how Rodman scored most of the time.
Right, it certainly seemed that way.
And he had the one shot that he made, and he's like, I don't know how it went in. I don't shoot mid ranges like that.
Whoa.
I was like, honestly, I was hoping just to alley-oop, but I guess it went in. Okay.
Man, like Rodman's a character. Like Rodman is such a character. Man.
Oh yeah,
it was crazy.
I loved his hair too. That hair was great.
Mm-hmm.
And like conversely, all of the white boys in this game looked like the biggest dorks on the planet. Like every single one of them looked like a nerd. Like it's like you guys are jocks. Like you play sports. Are you sure? Like
for
the chess
too.
tournament's next building over, guys.
Like for both teams too, not even just the Bulls, like both teams.
Both teams, the white boys were the biggest dorks ever. It's like, is this what was cool in the 90s? I don't know what was up.
At least in basketball.
That's fair.
The thing that I absolutely...
Because like no, sorry.
The thing I absolutely loved about this game was it reminded me about Karl Malone and John Stockton. Those two players are the Dan Marinos of the NBA.
Yeah.
In that they've both played over 180 postseason games and have never won a championship.
Jeez.
Yeah. Yep.
Josh Allen's going to feel that way soon.
Yeah, John Stockton has the record for the most postseason games played and never won a championship.
Oh, man.
Actually, Karl Malone's got him beat by 9.
Oh, wow. In the game, they said it was Stockton who had the most.
Yeah, but after this season, Malone left the Jazz and went to the Lakers and went on a run with the Lakers, and Stockton never made it back to the playoffs after this season.
Okay, so this is a hilarious story, and I do remember this. Phil Jackson, after the Bulls, went to the Lakers and three-peated with Shaq. The fourth year, Malone came in and they never won again.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. That fourth year, they had Malone and they also had Gary Payton, who never won either because they kept losing to Jordan. And then that year, they lost to the Pistons. Like, aw, Malone tried so hard and never could get a championship.
Never could do it. Always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Yeah, then we found out what Malone was all about off the court, and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm okay with this." We don't talk about Malone now. Malone's that dude.
Oh, all right. A note on the production quality of the show, though. Well, two things. One, I love how this was made when TVs weren't clear enough that they could put small text on the screen. So they have to keep like flashing the score up and then taking it away so there's enough screen space that you can watch the game. That was cool. But also, when they were introducing the players and they're all running out and getting high-fived and everything else, and they cut over to Phil Jackson, he is straight up 2 knuckles up his nose like this. He's looking down, he's got his full finger all the way up his nose, and then he just kind of like looks up at the screen. It's just so funny. I was like, well, why would you cut to him right then? Like, you know, the guy in the production cut could see it. He's gotta be like, oh, Phil Jackson picks his nose, cut right now.
Apparently Phil Jackson must have pissed off the production crew. It's the only thing I could think of.
Oh my god, it was great.
I think that happened twice because I'm pretty sure that happened later on in the game at some point too.
That's the one I noticed. Maybe he just fixes his nose all the time. I don't know.
Also, I gotta call out the at some point. I gotta call out the suits that the coaches were wearing. The incredibly square-bodied,
my God,
oversized
I forgot
suits
about
too. That didn't conform at all to looking like a person.
No.
It's like an android wearing a suit.
Yep.
Do you think they had like a cardboard frame in those shoulders to keep them up, or like what was happening there?
I just figured it was like the '80s shoulder pads, like just the 90s modern version of it.
Oh man.
Because, like, I mean, the early 2000s, they still had that. Like, I remember back in, like, the early 2000s, like, when they would go to the draft and the dudes had the suits, they had those, like, oversized, baggy suits with, like, the square body shoulders to them.
Yeah.
Like, that was still a thing, man. Like, it's crazy to see that. Like, the coaches wearing that. It's like, wow.
Ugh.
So, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the final. Well, hold on. Like, I think it's funny that the final score was like 87-86, and Jordan had like 43 points of the 87. Like, it was legitimately Jordan.
He also stole the ball with like 18 seconds to go and scored with 5 seconds to go to put them ahead. Like, he literally won the game for them in the end. Like, not just throughout the whole game.
Like, and I'm pretty sure he played the entire second half too, and didn't have a break. If he did, he sat like at most like 4 to 5 minutes of the second half. Other than that, he played the entire second half because he had to.
Yeah, they talked about pacing out the 20-second timeout to give Jordan a couple seconds to breathe before the final run.
That's right. Yeah,
I was like, oh my God,
because they were saying that usually he rests at the in the first like 3 to 4 minutes of the fourth quarter, but he couldn't because Pippen was out and hurt and couldn't. There was no one else to carry the load, so he had to be out there. And he was trying to pace himself to have some sort of energy left at the end of the game if he needed it. And he needed it.
He needed it.
But
Adam,
right,
who do you have us watching next week?
So we're gonna go from the old school of our childhood to back to modern days.
Snap back to reality. All right.
We're gonna snap back to reality. So who we're gonna watch is we're gonna watch Oklahoma City versus the Detroit Pistons. And this game was going to be this Saturday, March 15th. So,
okay.
So before the playoffs start, we probably will watch a game or two. That's probably like early 2000s, 2010s. We'll probably watch a couple other games too before the playoffs start, because we've only got, I think, about 5 or 6 weeks left here in the actual season. So we're coming up towards the end of the season here pretty soon.
It's so funny to hear them talk about it in Philly. Because they're like, oh man, after a game like this, you're like, all right, only 20 more games to go. Oh, shit, there's 20 more games of this?
Well, only 20 more games and the misery's over until October.
Yep.
So hopefully you won't have to worry about it too much.
So that brings us to the next section of the podcast, our top 10 James Bond-ish characters. Now, they say flattery is the most sincere form. Imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And when it comes to spy movies, James Bond is the gold standard. So we are going to devise a top 10 list of not James Bond, but characters similar to James Bond.
James Bond adjacent.
James Bond-ish characters. Adam, do you want to give us the first James Bond-ish character on your list?
I do. And I'm going to go with who I think is the greatest James Bond-ish character that I think we've ever seen. At least in my personal opinion. And for me, my favorite James Bondish character is fairly new. He's been around for a little while, but this was a character came off the FX channel, and this is going to be Sterling Mallory Archer.
Nice.
So, I mean, you can tell it's supposed to be a clear and obvious parody of it, and it's absolutely hysterical because he just gets into random shit and always gets his way out of it somehow, just like Bond. Like, he survives things that he has absolutely no right to survive. But I mean, to me, it's a 10 out of 10 for me on this scale because he's got everything that Bond does. He's got the gadgets. He's got the not so subtle undercover agencies that he does. He escapes death the way Bond does, which is somehow we don't really quite know how he escapes, but still has the daring do's to it. He's got the cars. Like, it just completely fits. So
so on a scale to 1 to 10, how do you rank Archer as far as how much you like it?
10.
All right. And Pete, how close is Archer to Bond and how much do you like him?
For closeness to Bond, I'm going to give him... I'm going to say more of like I'm going to give him an 8.7. And the reason being is, although he has a way with the ladies, like, he tends to get rejected a lot more often than he gets accepted. So I'm going to say that he doesn't have a way with the ladies the way Bond does. So he only gets an 8.7 there. In terms of likability, I love this show. I'm gonna give it. I can't give it a 10 out of 10, but I'm gonna give it, let's say, a 9.3.
All right, and I have to agree that there are insanely strong similarities. I mean, you've got Krieger as M, you've got Mallory as Krieger is Q, Mallory is M, and if not for the fact that there somehow got splashed a bit of 90s cowboy fan into his personality, I would say he's spot on for Bond. So I'll give him a 9 as his similarity, and likewise a 9 for how much I like Archer.
All right.
Pete, who's the first Bondish character on your list?
Okay. So, we're going silly, so I'll stick with silly. But it is not a character that is new on any level. I'm gonna say I'm actually gonna give him a kind of a lower score on bonding. So my character, I should just say, is Jacques Cousteau from the Pink Panther. Now, the argument against him being a Bond is the obvious. He's a detective. He's not a spy. But I'm thinking of specifically the Steve Martin movies where, you know, he's a foreign detective in another country and he's international and he's doing things as if he's a spy. And it's just really silly and it's really enjoyable and it's very much the same vibe. So for Bondness, I'm going to give him a 7.5. I would say this is probably in the bottom tier of Steve Martin movies, to be honest with you, but I think Steve Martin is amazing, so even his bottom tier is pretty good. For likability, I'm going to give him a good, let's call it just a solid 8.
Adam, what do you think of Jacques Cousteau?
I mean, as far as Bond likeness goes, I agree with Pete. I mean, not quite the same being a detective as part of being a spy, but it is similar. I'd probably give it I'd probably give it a 7.1. As far as likability, I've never seen any of the movies, so I have to give it a 0.
Oh,
I have seen, I've even seen the old Pink Panther movies, and I am a huge Pink Panther fan.
all right.
Similarities to Bond, I have to agree with you guys. I would give it a 7.2. But as far as likability, I love these movies. I'm going to give them a solid 8. Oh, it's to me. Okay. So imagine James Bond, but with an alter ego and a hidden family that he never tells that he is a secret agent. That sounds cool, then I suggest that you watch True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, wow.
And the character Harry Tasker.
Okay.
He has the gadgets. He has the funny accent. Granted, it's not British, but still funny accent. And he has all it. And granted, it is a little more violent, but that's more towards the Pierce Brosnan era of Bond. So I think that's even more Bond-like, and I would give Harry Tasker a 9.1 in his Bond rating. And as far as my likability of this movie, when this came out, I watched it 1,000 times. I wore out the VHS. This is a 10 for me. Pete, have you ever seen True Lies?
You know, I have seen True Lies once or twice. I have a habit of every 5 to 10 years getting in this Arnold Schwarzenegger kick where I just watch all of his movies and it's the only thing I watch. And True Lies is a consistent stop for me. I just nominated a French guy, so I guess I can't say the accent's a bad thing since it's Austrian and not British. So, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna give him a 9 for Bond-like. I think that's probably also tainted by the fact that I'm mostly a post Pierce Brosnan Bond fan. Anyway, I like the action ones better. And I say for likability, I mean, this is a 9.5. I love this movie, so yeah.
Adam, your thoughts?
I mean, as far as Bondness, I would agree with you guys that it's pretty close. I'd probably say it's probably a 9 for me as well. Now, as far as seeing it, I've only seen this movie once, and it was a long time ago, so I don't really remember a whole lot about it. So I can't really give it that high of a rating just because I don't remember enough about it, honestly. So to be fair, I'll give it I'll give it a 7 just because I don't remember enough about it to give it too high of a rating, but I don't want to go too low either.
Fair enough. All right. Adam, back to you.
All right. So, I'm going to go with one that was a show that I watched. It was an early 2000s show that was around for a little while that I thought was fun and I enjoyed quite a bit. And that is my Bond in this character is Sydney Barstow from Alias.
Ooh. Wow,
Nice
I never would have thought of that. Very good choice.
So, I mean, I think honestly, this was the peak Jennifer Gardner
Yeah.
I mean, same thing, just CIA instead of MI6. I mean, she was legitimately a spy. This was more, really, I think, more drama than action. Like, this was kind of more of like an early Bond style where it was more about getting in undetected, doing it more so than action and fighting. I mean, she had the gadgets. There was some action where she could fight, but that's not what the show necessarily was about. But, I mean, there was some there wasn't really much romance because she actually did have her own like relationship in it. So, but I mean, it was a really good show and I really enjoyed it. As far as Bond likeness, I give it about like an 8.4 is where I rate this.
And likability?
I really liked this show. I'm gonna probably I'd give it an 8.8.
All right, and Pete.
So I actually used to own like several seasons on box set of Alias. I love this show. I'm just gonna go ahead and say for likability, I'm gonna give it a 9.8 right off the bat. And the only reason I say that is because I don't know if anything could be a perfect 10, other than honestly, now that you're saying it, is her character to Bond. I think I'm gonna give her a 10. I mean, she's doing espionage. She's keeping secrets from her family. She's traveling internationally. She has action. She has gadgets. She's got sex appeal. She's got literally everything that James Bond is supposed to have other than a British accent, but she's an American. So I'm going to say that, 10 out of 10, she is the female American Bond.
I agree on everything. I mean, she literally is I think she's a more modern day representation of James Bond than Daniel Craig ever could hope for. And I
really don't like Daniel Craig.
I do not like Daniel Craig. But as far as her Bond likability, I give her a 9. And as far as the Alias show, I kind of stopped watching it after the 3rd season, but up until then, I absolutely loved it. So I give it an 8. And with that, enter. Pete.
All right. Well, I was going to go with the guy who I thought would have been my 10 out of 10 Bond, but now I'm going to have to give him a 9.9 since Sidney Bristow just stole my 10 out of 10 spot. And I'm going to go with a guy who I've always referred to as the American Bond, is Jack Ryan. And I know Jack Ryan doesn't necessarily have the sex appeal in all of his movies that Bond does, but he's also played by multiple actors in the same way that James Bond is. So I think the fact that we got Alec Baldwin into Harrison Ford, into a bunch of actors that I can't remember the name of right now.
And Affleck was next. Then
yeah, a bunch of other guys, and very much Bond storyline. He does have, a bit of a let's say begrudging hero complex through the whole storyline of how he doesn't want to be there doing things and his knee hurts and everything else. So I guess that'll be his 0.1 tick minus from Bond because he doesn't love doing it the way Bond does. But I'm going to give him a 9.9 for that. And for likability, I was into everything up until the Prime TV show with Jim from The Office. Not that it was bad, I just lost steam with it and I haven't ever got back. So I'm going to say for likability, we're going to give it a middle of the road, let's say 7.9, since I couldn't finish the series, or at least haven't yet. I will one day.
All right, Adam, Jack Ryan, Bond likeness.
Yeah, I agree with Pete that probably to me the biggest Bond likeness is just that multiple people have played the character. Um, I mean, the knee hurts kind of thing really just kind of screams Harrison Ford actor to me. He's just the old man. My knee hurts.
He wasn't that old of a man when he played Jack Ryan.
I can just see him saying that as he's playing him. But yeah, I mean, he does kind of fit though. I mean, I would probably give him, like I said, as far as Bond likeness, I'd probably say a 7.9, and then as far as likeness goes, I'd probably give it a 7.5. Because yeah, I mean, I watched a couple here and there, but I haven't even come close to watching any amount that would tantamount to being even half of the Jack Reacher series.
Jack Ryan, not Jack Reacher. They're different people.
Brian, sorry.
You good?
Brian Reacher, they're all the same. No, they're not. They're not.
Jack Reacher's the guy who punched someone through a car window as if the car window wouldn't prevent his hand from moving forward, even if the glass shattered, and still completely knocked the person out as if he has punching ability of a hurricane.
As far as Jack Ryan goes, I agree. He is very similar to Bond. That being said, I would give his likability to Bond being an 8.8. As far as the actual content, I have to admit the last Jack Ryan movie I saw was Hunt for Red October.
Jesus.
But I liked it, and right. I give him a 7. So to me, okay, so imagine James Bond, but make him way more British and way more uptight. I give you John Steed of the Avengers, not the Marvel Avengers. They came later, but the Avengers is an old British television show where the most uptight British guy, secret agent, and his sidekick in a leather cat suit, which I don't know how they got away with that in the 60s, but that's a thing. But he's more British than Bond, has the gadgets, has the martial arts training, and if you watch the movie, Sean Connery is the bad guy, Eddie Izzard is the henchman, and if you're a Harry Potter fan, you got Professor Slughorn and Aunt Petunia are the leaders of the organizations. It is littered with big names and big talent. His likability to Bond, I give him a 9.2, and as far as the movie itself, it's a bit campy, but I can't dispute that it is a very James Bond-like character, but my likability is a 7. Pete, I am almost certain you have not seen this movie.
I have not seen this movie, to the point that when we were discussing the topic of this show, you had brought it up, and I had never even heard of that movie before. Can I pass? I feel bad giving a 0 on both. So based upon the star-studdedness, I'm going to give the likability 3, since I've never seen it, but I like all those people, so I imagine it would be good. And it certainly sounds to be very much Bondish, so I'm going to give it a 5, and I'll trust you and split the difference. That way I'm not giving you a 0.
I appreciate that. Adam, I know for a fact I have subjected you to this at least once.
And I know for a fact that even though you subjected me to it, I don't remember any of it. So I'll duplicate Pete's rankings.
Fair enough.
Because I don't know when that was.
Yeah.
Was that at camp?
Yeah, I think it was. It was a long time ago.
So, yeah, I don't remember any of it, so I'm gonna give the same ratings as Pete did. So,
Adam, who is your next Bond-like character?
all right. Well, since Pete's last one was Jack Ryan, I'm gonna go with one of my other American ones, and we're gonna go with Jack Reacher. This is what happens if you put Bond on steroids. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's basically what happens if you give Bond. I really like the Jack Reacher series. He doesn't really have the like gadgets necessarily, but I think he's a lot smarter in general than Bond is. And he really honestly tries, I think, more to avoid conflict and like fighting if he can. He does if he has to, but he really tries to, it's more of a detective series more than anything else. And he's trying to figure more of the stuff out by solving the clues and the puzzles. And I mean, obviously there are action sequences because, I mean, the dude is absolutely jacked like he should be. But I mean, it's fun to watch him. And as far as Bond likeness, I mean, it's lower on the scale. I'd probably say it's more like probably like a 7.1 on this, honestly. But as far as, how much I like the show a lot. I'd probably say that for me, this show is probably like a 8.9. So I haven't got a chance to watch the newest season. I'm not even sure if it's out yet, but I am caught up to the latest seasons that are currently out. So,
Pete, what's your opinion of Jack Reacher?
So, I had to Google this to make sure I was talking about the right thing, because I've only seen the first movie. I do think it's kind of funny that my Capital One shopping app came up when I Googled it. It said, watch Jack Reacher and get $60 in shopping credit. So they want to pay me to watch the show. I have only seen the Tom Cruise movie, which, if you could tell by my rant earlier, I did not like. I'm not a huge Tom Cruise guy. He's good when he's good, and when he's not, the movie's meh. And that's kind of how I felt about Jack Reacher. I'm going to give it a 6 for likability. In terms of Bond-like, I never made that connection when I watched the movie. Maybe it's because I've been put off by not liking the movie or whatnot. But I felt like he was much more of a brute force punch in the face until it answers your questions, and if you don't like the answer, punch harder. So I don't know. Bond-like, I think I'm gonna have to give this one pretty low too. So I'm gonna say 6-ish. We'll say fair. 6 for that too.
Yeah, fair. I will say the Amazon series is a lot better than the movie was.
Yeah. Okay. So, I'll check it out then.
Yeah, the Prime series is a lot better.
Yeah. Some things just fit better in a TV show.
Yeah, it's because I watched the movie too, and the movie's not that great. The series is a lot better than the movie is.
Yeah.
So,
see, what you got to appreciate is the punch him in the face until he gets the answer you want. That is very Sean Connery Bond. So
That's Daniel Craig Bond. What are you talking about?
So, as far as Bond-like, no gadgets. That really hurt him. I will give him a 7 in the Bond-likeness. And I'm also with Pete. I've only seen the Tom Cruise movie, and it didn't really hit home for me. So I will give the likability a 6.
Yeah, that's fair. I can't blame you on that one.
Pete, your next Bond-like character.
All right. So I'm looking over my list, and I'm pretty proud of us for not crossing over. We're already through 7, and only one of my people have been taken. So I am going to throw someone out there that I felt was a little obvious. Personally, I didn't like the movie series that much, but mostly because I can't buy Matt Damon as badass. And so this is going to be Jason Bourne. So if Bond was trained to be an assassin and then lost all of his memory and was dumped in the ocean and woke up firing guns with his pinky, then it would be this movie. And because of that, I mean, he's an assassin. He's not a spy. I get it. But throughout the movie, he pretty much only does espionage. Of course, there's action. Of course, there's killing. But for the most part, he's just trying to figure out who he is, and he's trying to bring down the government agency that created him. And because of that, I'm going to say his Bondness is a good solid 8-7. In terms of likability, there was the fourth movie that didn't have Matt Damon in it, and that's the only one I haven't seen. So the fact that I saw all the movies, I can't give it like below a 6, so that wouldn't be fair. But I really didn't like this movie, so I'm going to give it a 7. That's the best I can give it and still feel okay, because I did sit through all of them multiple times for some reason.
So I'm not gonna lie, when he said Matt Damon, the first thing I thought of was like the Team America World Police when he was like, Matt Damon.
That's all I think of is Matt Damon too.
And yeah, like this, and I thought about I did think about Jason Bourne as well. And it was interesting to think about it. I only saw the first one, so I can't really rate the other ones to go off of. And the only real complaint that I had with the first movie is I thought the pacing on it was really slow. Like it crawled on that. But like overall, I did think it was a pretty good movie. So for likability, I'll probably give it like an 8 on the likability scale. As far as Bond likeness, I'd say probably an 8.5.
I have only seen the first one, and it was very middle of the road. I will admit there are some very strong likability similarities between Bond as far as his instinctual skill level and almost superhuman abilities. I will give him a 7.5 in his similarity to Bond and a 5 in the movie itself, the likability. Oh, that comes to me. Okay. All right. What if you had a parody of James Bond, but way over the top and more so than Johnny English ever could be? I give you Mike Myers as Austin Powers.
All right.
Wait, we're saying Austin Powers is more over the top than Johnny English?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I agree with that.
100%. This is a deliberate parody of James Bond. So it has the gadgets. It even has a parody of Bond's greatest villain with Dr. Evil. I think the similarities are so hilarious that I have to give it a 9.4 to his Bondness, losing 0.6 points because he's, well, I was going to say more of a horn dog, but if you're talking about like the Sean Connery, then he might be spot on. But as far as my likability of these movies, I love the Austin Powers series. It's great. I give it a 9.8. Pete, what are your thoughts on Austin Powers?
So I've seen every Austin Powers movie for sure, and I loved it as a child. There are many aspects of the jokes that do not hold up to modern culture. That it makes it hard to watch it now. But I think for likability, I can still give it a solid 8.5 because it's just very hilarious. In terms of Bond, there's no denying that he was meant to be Bond. They did a pretty good job, but all the while poking fun of British people at the same time as a whole, which I think was pretty good. His disco themes and his style don't really jive with Bond, in my opinion. Bond is much classier than that. He was sleazy, whereas Bond is always classy. So because of that, I'm going to give him some knocks. I'm going to give him an 8.5 on Bondish just because he's super sleazy.
All right, Adam, what are your thoughts on Austin Powers?
So I think I agree with Pete more on the Bondish Bond likeness, where it was more trashy than classy. Because yeah, like you said, I mean, obviously it was, it was supposed to be it was supposed to be Bond and everything else like that. So I'd probably give it an 8.5 as well on the same rating for that. As far as likability, I've seen all three of these as well. I actually did not like Goldfinger or Goldmember. Yeah, it's funny. I actually liked them less and less as the movies went on, even back then. I liked the first one the most. The second one was okay, and then I didn't like the third one. It's one of those where, for me, the jokes were funny when they weren't trying so hard to be over the top. Like when you're purposely trying to be over the top, crass or rude, it's just not funny anymore. And to me, Goldmember just took it way too far, and therefore it's no longer funny and enjoyable. The Spy Who Shagged Me kind of rode that line fairly well, and it wasn't bad. But the first one was kind of that perfect balance and that perfect storm. So for me, the likability, I'd probably say it's a 7.5 for all three of them.
All right. Adam, could I have your next Bond-like character?
So for me, the next one that I'm going to bring up is Napoleon Solo and the Man from U.N.C.L.E. Kind of surprised no one else brought him up yet.
He was next on my list.
Honestly, I think this is going to be the real next, well, real quote unquote, the next actual James Bond. I mean, when we look at the Man from U.N.C.L.E., it's just, it's like a half a peg down from actual James Bond. It really is. I mean, it's really all it is. It's just James Bond, just not calling him James Bond. I mean, he has pretty much everything. He's got the suave, he's got the gadgets, he's got the skill. I mean, it's hard to kind of say more. So, I mean, as far as Bond likeness, I mean, to me, this is a 9.7. And then for movie likeness, I give it a 9.5. I think this is a great movie.
Pete, have you seen The Man from U.N.C.L.E.?
I have not. I did read a brief description of it between last week and this week. but I have not seen the movie, unfortunately. I will go ahead and split the difference with you on Bond-like, because the description I read sounds pretty good. We'll call that a 5. Likability, I don't know. I guess I'll do a 3 again, because I feel bad giving a 0 because I've never seen it, but I don't know.
I am a huge fan of Henry Cavill's performance in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. And a small contributing factor to why this feels like so much like James Bond is because it's from the same author. Ian Fleming made James Bond, and then after he was done with James Bond, he made Man from U.N.C.L.E. So that's why it feels so James Bond-like. And I agree. If Henry Cavill is the next James Bond, I would be so on board. It would be the perfect penance for Daniel Craig.
I just wish Cavill was younger so he could play him longer.
Agreed. For Bond likeness, I have to give it a 9.6 because the only thing is he's American. And as far as liking this movie, I give it a 9 flat. It is a fantastic movie. I highly recommend all of you at home watching it. Man from U.N.C.L.E. Pete, could I have your next Bond-like character?
All right. I didn't want to bring this one up until we officially had 10 on the board because it's that off the wall and silly.
I like off the wall and silly.
This one, to me, it is a cartoon from the 70s. I only watched it at like midnight on Cartoon Network or whatever when they would show like 70s cartoons on a marathon. It was a show called Secret Squirrel.
Oh.
And it is about a squirrel spy and his sidekick Mole that wears a fez and always gets beat up, but Secret Squirrel does nothing and he never does anything right. And his gadgets always blow up in his face, and then the Mole kind of comes in and solves everything for him. So, I mean, in that regard, maybe he's a little more like Inspector Gadget, but he's a spy, so therefore he counts as James Bond. So I'm going to give Secret Squirrel a good 7.5 in Bond-like, but mostly because he's not human does he get those points lowered. And for likability, man, this was sleepless nights of my childhood, man. I love this stuff. I'm going to have to give it an 8-9.
Adam, your thoughts on Secret Squirrel?
I mean, this show sounds absolutely amazing, and I wish I could find it. I mean, I'll split the difference. I mean, I'll kind of split it with P2. I'll give it a 5 for likeness, and I'll give it a 3 for the likability, just because I've never seen it, but it sounds awesome.
It is awesome. I have vague memories of this, but I do remember it. He was kind of a klutz, if I remember this right. And I for his similarity to Bond, I'll give him a 7.2 because it's like that. It has strong Bond influences.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as enjoyability, I give it an 8. I remember this. It was hilarious.
I'll tell you what, man, if this was a like Sterling Archer list, that would be top right there. Secret Squirrel's number 1. Just the 70s squirrel version.
Heck. Are we? Oh, we're to me. Okay. All right. Imagine James Bond, but more cat burglar than a charisma spy. I give you Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt in Mission Impossible.
It was this long to get to him. I'm
yeah.
surprised.
You know, I purposely left him off my list because I assumed someone would grab him as their first person.
Me too. I'm shocked.
I I absolutely love at least the first Mission Impossible movie. The way they played homage to the television series, starting it off with "Good Morning, Mr. Phelps," and all that. It was phenomenally well done. Everyone remembers the Tom Cruise falling to the floor and him spread eagle trying to keep his balance. Mm-hmm. That scene is embedded in everyone's mind. As far as his similarities to James Bond, he has the gadgets. Charisma is a little touch and go, but I think he's got okay amounts. And he's not officially part of the CIA. He's part of this other secret organization, but still government spy work. I would give him a 9.5 in his Bond likeness. And as far as my appreciation of the movies, I love at least the first Mission Impossible movie. I would give it a 9.5. Pete, your thoughts on Ethan Hunt?
Well, so we're evaluating these as a full series, and my father happens to be obsessed with the Mission Impossible television show. So I've seen a lot of that as well. I had talked about earlier how I'm not a huge fan of Tom Cruise. This is kind of the exception to the rule. Now, granted, I don't remember anyone past the third one. I remember the first three pretty well, but I'm not even positive I've seen the most recent ones. I probably won't, because they really kind of beat the horse to death, and they should move on from Ethan Hunt. However, I think that's more of a sign of they should change actors the way Bond does, not a sign that, the story is necessarily bad. They should just kind of reboot, start over with a new Ethan Hunt, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to say he's got the gadgets, he's got the espionage, he's got the international travel for sure. Mm-hmm. But I don't really feel like Bond works with a team the way Hunt works with a team. He's always got like a team of 6 with him. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give him just say an 8 solid for that. In terms of likability, I'm just going to bear this on the TV show and the first 3 movies. And I'll go ahead and give it a 9 because I'd watch that any day of the week.
Adam, your thoughts on Ethan Hunt?
Yeah, I also liked the first 3 movies as well. The first 2 especially. Like the first one and the second one I really, really liked a lot. The second one was probably my favorite, actually. Just it was such a cool, and it was such a cool premise too, of like what they were stealing. Like they were stealing biochemical weapons, basically.
Yeah.
Trying to sell them back and everything. It was just a cool thing, and the stunts they did for it were pretty neat as well. And I don't know, I just enjoyed like I said, the gadgets and what he would do and how he would get through it and all that. So as far as Bond likeness, yeah, I would probably say it's like a 8.2. And as far as likability, I'd give it like a 9.
9 flat.
Yep.
All right. That brings us to the last round. Adam, could you give us our last Bond-like character?
All right. So for my last Bond-like character, so imagine if you took Bond, but then just kind of picked him up off the street as like a little street urchin or something. So my last Bond-like character is going to be none other than the infamous Xander Cage from Triple X.
Oh.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's got the gadgets. He's got the, he's got the 6-shooter that can, knock somebody out. He can blow stuff up. He can have a blood like paintball gun that makes it look like somebody's, been shot, but they're just knocked out. He's got different stuff. He's traveling internationally, goes different places. He's working with the CIA because, their guys keep getting killed. So that's why they need, an actual felon to go after the people they're going after. Like, he's got the different stuff going on with them. He's got the swag with the women going on. So he's got the different Bond like stuff going on for him. He just doesn't have class. That's why they took him from the streets. Because that's not what they're going for this time. They want someone that's more trash than class. So, but he's kind of got the Bond stuff going for him on this one. So for that, I'm gonna rate the Bond likeness to, probably like a 7.8. And as far as likeness goes, I'm really only rating this on the first movie. We're not going to talk about the other ones. We're just going to go with 8.7.
All right, Pete, your thoughts on Xander Cage?
I mean, I can't talk about Triple X without talking about the second one. I'm sorry to say. I won't let it factor into my rating, but I do have to say that Triple X 2, the one with Ice-T, is one of the worst movies ever created. It is so terrible, from the script, to the acting, to the directing, to the premise, to the way they write off Xander Cage. All of it is absolutely terrible in that movie. And from my understanding was they had written it and they were planning on having Xander Cage return. And what's his name? Vin Diesel read the script and was like, "Nah, I'm not doing that." So they had to go with somebody else.
That was Ice Cube, not Ice-T.
You're right. I'm sorry. It is Ice Cube. And Exhibit is the other rapper that said it. And he's like, one part, he's like, "I told you they'd have a tank, and I told you if it had wheels, we could jack it." And then they put it up on stilts, like, "Welcome to the first official tank jacking." Worst movie ever. Anyway, sorry. So on to the first one, which I did really enjoy. If I'm not mistaken, towards the end of the movie, he fires a heat-seeking missile after a guy who's smoking a cigarette, and the heat-seeking missile hits the cigarette. And I thought that was so cool when I saw it when I was like 15 or whatever. And I just have to correct little me and realizing that the body heat of two human beings would outweigh the heat being put off by a single cigarette. And it made no sense as to why that heat-seeking thing went for the stupid cigarette. But that's very Bondish.
And his line when he says that is I told him that cigarette would come back to kill him one of these days.
God. Right, which all of that's very Bondish. So I'm gonna give him points in that regard. I agree he's missing the class. Because of that, he's gonna get knocked down to a 7-8 because he is definitely street sleazy of these United States of America. So give him that. In terms of likability, since we're only doing the first movie, I'll go ahead and give you a 8.9 for likability.
All right. I have to point out the similarities when you have Toby in Triple X is basically Q, and then Gibson is practically M. Yolana's the Bond girl. Anarchy 99 is Spectre. That was a little weak. But you got Sam Jackson and Danny Trejo. This is a wonderful movie. Similarities to Bond, I give it an 8.2. And for straight up likability, I give just the first one. I give it an 8.
Everything else we judged as a series. This one, we only judged the first one.
Yes. Pete, could I have your last Bond-like character?
Oh man, there's so many people on my list that we didn't get to. I'm really shocked we didn't have more duplicates. I think for my last character, I'm gonna have to give a shout out to Brad Pitt in Mr. and Mrs. Smith playing John Smith, which was also played by, I think it's not not Daniel Glover. Yeah, Daniel Glover played it, right? In the second one, the remake.
Oh, I never saw the remake.
Yeah, it came out in like 2021, I think. Something like that, 22. So again, we have a spy, we have sex appeal, we have espionage. We are not working for state sponsors, I believe, is one of the big differences. Is they're, if I'm not mistaken, they work for like private armies or maybe private firms. It's been a while since I've seen the movie. For those of you who've never seen it, the whole premise is a man and a woman are having marital trouble, and as we find out in their relationship, they are both spies, and they are given the task to take each other out. So then they have to fight out their differences, and they fall in love while trying to kill each other. It's a action romance comedy. It's got Brad Pitt in it. It's got Angelina Jolie in it. I really like the movie. I want to give likability, call it an 8.3. For Bond, I mean, he's living undercover, which James Bond doesn't really do. So I got to give him a knock on that. He's American. Like I said, he's not state sponsored, and he's fighting his wife. So that's a lot of reasons to not call him Bond, but you get it. I mean, he's got the class, he's got the charisma, he's got the spy techniques. They call him a spy. I'm going to call it, I'm going to give this a low rating. I'm going to give him a 6.7 for Bondness. But it's a good movie.
Adam, your thoughts on Mr. Smith?
So again, I've never actually seen Mr. Smith.
No.
So I will kind of steer the course and give it a Bond likeness of 5, and then a movie likeness in general of a 3, just to keep a score.
All right.
Sorry, Pete.
It's okay. It's not the greatest movie in the world.
I think I like this movie more than you guys do. I think it's absolutely fantastic that the whole secret,
the mute music.
both of them are keeping the secret from each other, and then that moment when he drops the wine bottle and catches it in the air, and then they both figure out that their cover is blown and they start blowing the house apart trying to kill each other. Yeah. It is a phenomenal movie. For Bond likeness, I think he's got the charisma when he wants to pull that lever. He's got the gadgets. Takes a bit of a hit because he's American, but he is Brad Pitt, so charisma.
Yeah.
I give him an 8.8 for Bond likeness, and as far as this movie, I could watch if I was flipping through the channels and I saw this movie, I would stop every time to watch it. I give it a 9 for likeness.
Nice.
And that brings us to the final Bond-like character. Imagine James Bond, but he's training the next generation of spies. I give you Harry Hart from The Kingsman.
Okay.
This was Colin Firth, I think is his name.
Yes.
He is James Bond. He's got the knife in the shoe. There's so many callbacks to James Bond in this movie. The cigarette lighter that's a grenade, the X-ray specs, everything, and it's just he's James Bond. He's just everything. They even have a tech guy named Merlin who is practically Q. The parallels are uncanny. And plus Colin Firth, I could absolutely see playing James Bond in an alternate universe. So likeness to Bond, I give him a solid 10. And I love this movie. Manners make it the man. I'm going to get a t-shirt that has that printed on it. Likability, I would give us a solid 10 as well. Pete, have you seen...
You should go one better, Tom? I think you should go one better, Tom. Just get it tattooed on yourself, man. You've been saying it since college.
I love that. I love that quote. Pete, what are your thoughts on Harry Hart?
Okay. I see what you're saying. I would have picked the kid from this movie. I don't know it as well as you do, clearly. But the kid that comes in to be trained, I think of honestly Daniel Craig's Bond when I think of the Kingsman. I think it's a lot more action forward the way the Daniel Craig's Bonds are. I saw the kid as more like Bond. I can't. But is he Argyle? Was his name Argyle? The kid he's training at Sierra.
Eggsy Unwin.
Eggsy Unwin. Okay, but I can see that this was James Bond training the next James Bond. So I can't say that it would be. I disagree with your assumption. So I'm gonna say for Bond, I gotta go 9.5 for sure. He's got everything. And likability, I haven't seen the complete series, but the first Kingsman, I love that movie. It was so good from beginning to end. I'll give it let's say 9.2. I really like that movie.
All right, Adam, your thoughts on Harry Hart?
I mean, I can't really say much more than what's already been said. I'd probably say Bond likeness. I'd probably give him a 9.8. And for likability for the movie, I've also only seen the first one, but I really enjoyed it. I'd probably say 9.6.
All right. And that puts Harry Hart in the lead.
Oh, out of nowhere.
Wow.
Just taking that number
Came in
one
and
spot.
wrecked shop.
As far as honorable mentions go...
What'd you do?
Oh, I done broke it. There we go. The honorable mentions that didn't quite make our list, we had Johnny English, Jason Bourne, Frank Drebin from The Naked Gun, Maxwell Smart from Get Smart, Aubrey Argyle from Argyle, Dick Steele, Agent WD-40 from
What?
That was
Just a porn parody? Because that's what it sounds
What are
like.
you talking about?
I'm trying to find the proper name of the movie. I
How
think
did
it's
Dick Steele not make our list?
Oh crap, I lost the note. It was basically Kelsey Grammer from The Naked Gun. He was doing a parody of James Bond, and his character was Dick Steele, Agent WD-40.
So it is a porn parody. Okay.
Eggsy Unwin from The Kingsman, the kid. Jack Bauer from 24. And Simon.
I'm surprised you didn't have him on there, Pete. I know you loved 24.
I do love 24, but I don't think Jack Bauer is anything close to James Bond. I mean,
See, I didn't think so
he's
either. Because Tom had asked.
counterterrorism.
Yeah.
He works for America. He doesn't go for ladies at all, other than his wife, who dies in the first season. Like, I don't know what's James Bond about him when he got captured by China and tortured for 6 years. Like,
Korea.
You're right. It was Korea. My bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's what because I didn't think so either when Tom had asked me. Like, I don't think there's anything James Bond like about Jack Bauer, but I'm not that huge of a fan of 24. But
Yeah.
I said the same thing when they brought up Laura Croft and Indiana Jones. I was like, no,
no.
they're nothing like
no,
that.
not anywhere close.
And the one that I dismissed immediately because I knew you guys probably hadn't seen the movie is Simon Templar from The Saint, Val Kilmer.
Nope.
No.
And yeah, I figured that would.
I've seen a Val Kilmer movie one time.
Was it Batman?
It was Batman.
All right. But yeah, so Harry Hart is by far, hands down, the most Bondish character of the Geeks and Greeks podcast.
The Bondishy of the Bonds.
All right. I think that's going to be about it. Do you guys have anything else you want to add before we close out this episode?
No, I'm good.
I just want to say, if you're looking for something to watch this weekend, I highly recommend the Tokyo series, Dodgers versus Cubs, in the not quite opening weekend of the baseball season, but the opening weekend of the baseball season. Check it out.
All right.
I also want to offer my condolences to the Indianapolis Colts for signing the two worst quarterbacks from last year, Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones.
Yes, that's right. Danny Dimes is in Indy.
I was hoping to get through the episode without that.
And on that note, that's all for today, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Geeks and Greeks podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Amazon. Also, don't forget to find us on Facebook at Geeks and Greeks. Until next time, may the coin toss of life ever be in your favor. See you guys.
Later.
Peace.